Hello and welcome to Tim's BMW Repairs and Information, where you find me here today in my 650 on the way back from work, which is quite an unusual occurrence, but I thought I'd better give it a go. It's been sitting on the drive for a while. Good old Lee Shannon's replaced the alternator that he's already replaced once, because the new one had a bad bearing on it and it did sound a bit like an aeroplane. So yeah, that's all sorted. And yeah, the car's lovely again now. While he was at it, he also sorted out the suspension part, one of the thrust arms that was coming loose. So thank goodness he did have a look at it. So yeah, it's a lovely car again. Anyway, the reason for this video is, you know, I'm always making fun of 116Is. They do have a habit of getting right up behind me and then trying to overtake me away from traffic lights or roundabouts and stuff like that. So another 116i, they always try to beat me up here and there's no point at all. But he's about a mile behind now, that taught him. And then you just have to leave them behind, and it's the same in this car, but it happens more often in the E31 because I quite often think it's just an old car, being a 98, and wow, brand new 116 going to beat that surely, but no, you can't beat 4.4 litres of normally aspirated power in the 840 or 4.8 litres of normally aspirated power in a 650. Anyway, I'm getting off the point a bit. Now, the reason for this video is I've recently been driving a 116. And why would I be driving a 116? Well, it's because my daughter's had a whole succession of 1 Series cars, and she's shielding, so she's not using the car at all. So it's been on the drive for, well, probably 5 or 6 months now, isn't it? I suppose it's getting close to it. And you can't leave a car sitting there. They just stop working after a while. We've already had the batteries just completely failed, had to buy a new one, wouldn't charge up, wouldn't accept a charge and all the rest of it. So it's time to sell it, and what I sold it for in the end was £5,750. Now, what else can you get for that sort of money? Well, you can get one of these. You can get a 650 for that much money and less. I'll put up a few adverts that's around at the moment in the UK, and you see what I mean. They are really sort of dime a dozen cars in the UK, especially with the long miles. And this one's got just coming up to 125,000 miles. And the 116i that I sold had 103,000 miles on it. So they're around about the same mileage, not much different. And they're worth the same amount of money. And it's mad, isn't it, really, when you think of the cars being so different. Of course, the 116i Sport was from 2012, so it's 5 years or 6 years younger than this one. I'm rubbish at maths. 5 or 6 years younger than this. And it's an F21 and it's a Sport, so it's got 136 horsepower. Now, I used it for a week going to and from work just to make sure everything was okay before I sold it, and I would never sell a car which wasn't working properly, so I did quite a few repairs on it as well. But it was interesting driving a 116 because I've just had a succession of big BMWs, 5, 6, 7 and 8s for 35 years, something like that, maybe even 40 years now. And so it's the first time really driving a tiddler. Yeah, so wouldn't it be more sensible for me to own a 116i? I mean, I drove it to work every day. I got to work at about the same time as I did when I drive the 8 Series or the 6 Series. So what benefits does a 650i bestow on you other than having 370 horsepower and going rather fast, which is, I can't deny that. They're blooming fast cars, 650s are. Frighteningly fast sometimes. I mean, we accelerate out of here on a used manual gear change because otherwise it'll just try and blow itself up. I mean, that's madness, isn't it? Up to 75 in just 3 seconds or something. It's a manically fast car, but that's it. You know, I've done it now. I've done my 0 to 60. The excitement's all over. I'm now going to trundle along the road at a tiny little bit over 70 with the cruise control on, and I could do exactly the same with the 116i. Anyway, you can be your own judge really, because I did a video when I sold the car. Always do a video if I'm selling a car. It's much better for people to have a look at the car when it's driving rather than just still photographs. So I've done a video. I'm going to show you the video now, and afterwards then we'll just sort of discuss why I drive a 650 and not a 116. I mean, what are the benefits? Hello and welcome to the sale of my daughter's 2012 BMW 116i Sport. And in these COVID days, you can't do test drives, especially for someone who's shielding. So I'll take you out for a test drive. Have a short drive, about 12 miles or so. That's all it takes to get home from work. Well, first of all, when you get in the car, it's all leather. So this is a sort of high level of options. So yeah, full leather, unmarked as well. It is in very good condition, and it's got a lot of options which we'll go through as we go along. Right, I'll put you up on a mount. Right, keyless start, so I can put the key in my pocket. I find that all very unusual, to be honest. Lovely, so no problem starting. Climate control, it's dual climate control. Separate settings for the passenger and the driver. That's quite an unusual option. Of course, this is the Sport, so we've got 135 brake horsepower, automatic windscreen wipers, so I have to put those on, and an 8-speed gearbox. So yeah, you certainly need an automatic box for 8 gears. Otherwise, we'll be changing gears all day. Got telephone integration. So this is the high-level infotainment centre on this car. Bit of an awkward one to get out of here, so I'll just take it careful. Got automatic lights as well, and daylight running lights. As I said, nice leather seats, manually adjustable, so they're not electric and they're not heated, but there's many positions you can put them in, all sorts of adjustments on them. Heater's working well. And it started very quickly as well. We've only been in the car a couple of minutes and we're warming up pretty quickly already. So that's the rear screen wiper, that's working fine. Check the washer. Yeah, that works fine. Front washers, yeah, that's fine. Radio. Haven't used the radio before, so not quite sure if you have to tune it in or not.
Hello everyone, that was
there we go.
I was feeling all dreamy listening to that. I also
yeah, working radio. Climate's working well. Do a bit of manual gear changes, I think. So that's 4th gear. 3rd gear, I use the cruise control, I think, because this is a strict 30 limits. I've set it to 30 back into auto. Yeah, very strict speed limits through this town, so I'm quite happy to use it at cruise control at this speed. It's a very clever cruise control as well, because it's braking cruise control. So if you go down a hill and you start going past your set speed, it'll put the brakes on and slow you back down again. And that's something I haven't had before in any of my cars. I've had a number of BMWs. Yeah, and the braking cruise control is very handy because it's so easy to just go downhill and exceed the speed limit. Okay, so cruise control off. And round we go, and we'll head for the A3. Right, we're in comfort mode for the gearbox. Let's see how quickly we can accelerate. And that is very, very impressive. No smoke at all, and it didn't get any smoke at startup. And that can be a problem with 116i's with the twin turbo. The twin turbos can start to leak oil, and so can the valve stem seals. But this one's fine, no smoking at all. I'll put the rear window wiper on because road's very wet today. Yeah, it's very impressive turn of speed, even in comfort mode. I'm going back from work now, and the first time I drove it was on the way to work, and I tried it in sports mode, and it accelerates very fast. Yeah, it's very impressive for such a small engine as well. There we go. Of course, with a very small engine, it uses all the gears for accelerating. Right, we're in comfort mode, sport mode. I'll go to Eco Pro mode to save a bit of fuel and set the cruise control. We're doing 64. Yeah, the cruise control, I really like the way that it works. The old ones used to work the same, but not many people knew about it. With a small press of the plus button, then you go up by 1 miles per hour. So I should now be at 65. Can't see, it's gone away again. Yeah, the speed on the dash is 65, but you give it a harder press, then it'll go up by 5 miles an hour. So I've set the cruise control to 70 now, which is obviously the speed limit of the A3. And it will hold that speed whether we're going downhill or on the flat. It is very advanced cruise control system, very clever. We've got indicator repeaters on the mirrors, and the exterior of the car has got a lot of options on it as well. The piano black for the inserts where the lights are and so on. This has got fog lights, front and rear fog lights. The front fog lights isn't a standard option, so this has been optioned to get the front fog lights. It really is a nice car to drive. I usually drive either a 6 Series, a 650, or an 8 Series, the 840, and I'm quite happy driving this. It's a smooth ride. I have to put my foot down here because it's a van right behind me. Of course, we're in Eco Pro mode, so the acceleration wasn't that fast, to be honest. And we went down probably into 6th gear, I should think. There we go, we're past. And now it's right next to me, so I'm going to turn the cruise control off and just control the speed manually. Yes, I'm very comfortable here. The seat's very comfortable with the full leather and the adjustments I've made to it. Climate is working perfectly, set to auto, so it's all just to keep the temperature of the cabin for the passenger and for the driver. So yes, I don't actually have to do anything. I don't have to operate the wipers or the lights, and cruise control just holds me at the speed I want. So it's quite a relaxing drive. Windscreen wipers work well. front and rear. I replaced the front windscreen wipers on this car when my daughter first bought it. And really it hasn't been far at all since my daughter bought it. I'll take it out of eco mode and see. There we go. Yeah, that is very impressive for a little car. Reset the speed. Eco Pro mode, I think go to standard mode now. Right, to bring this video up to date, today is Saturday the 22nd, and yesterday, Friday, this car was MOT'd at Autodam, which is our local MOT centre, and it's passed with flying colours, no advisories at all. The only advisories which were on the last MOT were for rear brake pads, and the brakes have been changed. Also, during the MOT, it had the air conditioning serviced, and now the air conditioning is absolutely ice cold. It was working before, but not well enough, but now it's absolutely perfect. Right, so the plan from this point on is that I'm going to move this car back to my daughter's, which is the registered address on the V5C, and it will stay there during the auction. And so there's absolutely no chance at all that I could pass a virus on to the buyer, because I won't be touching it for a week. So if you win the auction, you can happily pick it up with no problems at all worrying about the virus. It's got petrol in the car as well, a couple of 100 miles worth of petrol, and yeah, it's ready to go. So I think the last thing we'll do is we'll just have a quick last look round the car, and I can just show you all the bits inside. Right, just get you off the tripod. Right, let's start in the boot. And as I said, it's got cargo nets in the back, which was an option, and that's the warning triangle. Got a brand new battery in here, which was fitted just a few days ago, because the car had been sitting for quite a long time, and the battery's gone flat. So it's a new battery fitted, and it's been registered, of course. So that's all brand new and ready to go. Warning triangle. Got another cargo net here and more storage, and on this side we still have the first aid kit, towing eye, and the towing eye holder is down there as well, so that's all original equipment in there. Seats obviously go forward. I've checked the rear wiper and the rear washer, that all works fine. Right, have a look at the alloys. As I say, it's the alloys which let this car down a bit. They're not that bad. I'm being a bit fussy. But no, they could certainly do with being refurbished at some point. Right, have the last look inside. Lovely leather in here, new mats, and for the driver as well, we've got a new driver's mat. And mats in the back, of course. And it's black leather throughout. And 3 seat belts, so we've got a centre sitting area in this car, which it was another option, so this was very highly specified to start with. Got ISO points for a child's car seat on both sides at the back as well. It's also another option was rear air conditioning, so yeah, it's a very highly specified car, and also rear cigarette lighter or power socket they call them these days, of course. So there we go, it's got that. Also in the centre console we've got the aux in, so you can plug your phone into that and have it come through the car's speakers, and of course power for the phone as well, so it's got a USB socket. And of course the telephone, this car has Bluetooth on it, so you can integrate the telephone fully into the system, and it's got a hands-free answering. I'm afraid the steering wheel's upside down. There you go. And that's the cruise control on the other side. Another option with these things, not all that exciting, but I can't remember what the option was called, but that's certainly an option. In the glove box we've got the information from BMW. Got some blurb there, not quite sure what that is. Oh, owner's handbook. Didn't know we had that. And then we have the the adapter for the locking wheel nuts in there. So we got that. So if you need to get the alloys off for refurbishing or whatever, then at least you've got the right thing to get them off. I'll just quickly whip round to the driver's side. There you go. It really does look smart, doesn't it? I really do like this car. I've grown to like it more as I've driven it, because it's got quite a lot of power for a small car. It's been great fun, and the cruise control is absolutely brilliant. I do love the way that its braking cruise control can actually slow the car down as well as it speed up. Got adjustable steering column, fully adjustable seats in all sorts of different places. Of course, being a sport, we've got the bolster, the thigh bolster as well. And really, that's just about it. Everything works. I haven't found anything that doesn't work in here. It's been really good. And just last quick look round. Yeah, of course, automatic headlights on these. Headlight throw adjustment and adjustment for the brightness of the instruments. Dual climate control, so we've got temperature control for the driver and one for the passenger. Fully specified radio system, so it's DAB radio as well, and that seemed to work rather well. Yeah, it's a very nice car. And the more I look at it, the more I'm thinking, I wouldn't mind keeping this, but I better not. I've had too many of them already. There we go then. That was the 116i. Wasn't too bad, really. I do make fun of them a bit. And it wasn't a bad car. No, with its sort of 8-speed gearbox and 136 horsepower, it wasn't slow off the mark. I think the quoted figure is 8.5 seconds 0 to 60, and that's not too bad really, compared with 5.1, which we've proved on this car, well, as soon as we put the Falcon tyres on it anyway. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Wow! No loss of traction. Certainly wouldn't do it with the normal run flats on it. But of course the place it always loses out is the sort of mid-range power, because little engines that whiz really high revs by using all the gears don't have great acceleration when you're going about 50 or 60 miles an hour, and you need that sort of punch pass speed when you're overtaking. Doesn't really have it. But I'm being a bit over strict on it really. I mean, even though it's a sport, it really wasn't designed to go all that fast. I mean, it's got 136 brake horsepower compared to, well, 370 horsepower on the 650, so it's a bit of an unfair comparison. But driving backwards and forwards to work in the car, well, it's not much different to doing it in this 650. We get there about the same speed, same time it takes. I mean, Britain's motorways these days are pretty much clogged up. It was okay when the lockdown first occurred. The roads were very quiet indeed, and it was really enjoyable driving. You could really have good fun on the roads without being dangerous. But no, the roads seem to be back to where they were before. As you can see in front of us here, rows of cars all just lining up. So your extra couple of 100 horsepower, what's it buy you? Well, it might buy you about 1 second or maybe 2 seconds on the journey to and from work. It's not much for your money, but it's still true that given £5,000 or a bit over £5,000, which car would you rather drive? Would you rather drive a 2012 1 Series or 2006, 2007, maybe even an 8? 6 Series, 650 with all that power? Well, my personal choice obviously is that Well, I drive a 650. I don't drive the 116i because I love the power of these cars. There really is a visceral, muscular power these cars can produce. It really is quite exceptional. But is that it? Well, it's got more road presence, hasn't it? 650 takes up a bit more space. But there again, it's a lot harder to park. Well, there again, I don't actually park it anywhere I need to squeeze in. That's not the car for that. If I need to squeeze in somewhere, I'll go in the Mini. There's much more chance of actually getting parked somewhere. So yes, it's a practical car. The 116i is not bad at all. Here we go. Excuse me. Well, of course, the 116i certainly couldn't do that, could it? That was a situation we just needed to get out of in a hurry, and 116i just wouldn't have done it. It's absolutely heaving down now. Look at it. It's absolutely torrential. Really glad I got a new set of Falcons on, because this road suffers from surface flooding. So I'm reducing my speed to somewhere sensible, and then even slower. There goes the standing water. So yeah, I really am sitting on top of the water there for a second. Might as well be in a boat, really. So yeah, in that situation, yeah, you want a 650. You don't want one of those, which is a motorbike going up the A3 in this weather. That's absolutely awful. And now we're sinking further into the water here. Poor bloke on the bike. It must be terrible. Has he got any leathers on or anything? Yeah, at least he's dressed for the conditions. I'll give him that. Poor bloke. Yeah, it's getting darker and darker. The lights are on. The water's getting deeper and deeper, but I'm carrying on. That's the plan. Yeah, I doubt the 116 is going to stick to the road quite like this at 70 miles an hour with this much surface water. It's quite a little lightweight thing. Yeah, talking about sort of road holding and stuff like that. Of course, the 116i's got electric steering. Actually, it's not bad. But it certainly doesn't have the feel of hydraulic steering as is normal. Yeah, it's a bit sort of it's very precise. You point it that way, it's going to go that way, absolutely to the north of a degree. But it hasn't got much feedback, which is a shame, because you should have a bit of feedback on a sports car. No, I think when it comes down to it, the biggest downside for me is that it's a 1 Series. They're ubiquitous. You see them absolutely everywhere. We've already overtaken a couple of them today, and yeah, there's just so many of them. And when do you see a 6 Series? You hardly ever see a 650 go past. I usually wave to them because it's such an event. And an 8 Series, no, I haven't seen one on the road for about 3 or 4 years now, which is a great shame. No, the 116i is just a little bit too, well, run-of-the-mill. I do like my cars to have a bit more sort of difference from anything else on the road, and the 650 certainly is that. I don't see many of them. It's such, but again, it's just such a powerful car. Oh, I love the Falcons on these corners. Now on the run flats, I would have been squeaking towards the verge at that point. Off we go. There we go. Now that's where the power counts. 50 to 65. Yeah, perfect. So it gets me ahead of all the Euro boxes, you see. From the little roundabout, everybody slows down to a crawl. And then you accelerate away from the roundabout, and you end up with Euro boxes just not managing to do it. So yeah, the 650 comes into its own here. Getting a bit hot now. One more car I get past, I think. So yeah, there you go. I mean, the 116i is a lovely car. Not bad at all. You get quite a lot of car for your money. There's a Volvo in the fast lane. He's not getting out of it, is he? Oh, that's a foxy little Picasso, isn't it? No wonder. There you go, mate. Still in the fast lane then, love. Good. And off we go. There we go. That's the A3 done for another week. The windscreen wipers are squirting away. Yeah, the new rubbers on those as well. I think I need to adjust them in some way. So they're a bit squeaky. So yeah, that's my conclusion. I drive a 650 because I like driving a 650. I like everything about it. It's a fantastic car. It's a V8. I mean, that's one thing to start with. Not an old 4-pot 1600 with a couple of turbos on there. 116i's are pretty reliable, not bad at all. And of course, the 650 with the N62 engine, terrible reputation. There's some huge YouTube channels that just slate these things. I really hate them because of all the problems, but we know what the problems are caused by. Problems are caused by not servicing it. For goodness sake. Yeah, the problem was that BMW decided to have long service periods, 15,000 miles, 20,000 miles, and they could get away with it when the car was new and using the lifeguard oils because they were long life oils. And the problem of course occurred when they went down the food chain a bit and people like me owned them, and then they didn't do the oil changes. Well, they did the oil changes against the iDrive, and I'm guessing mine is still in the quite a long way away. Information, info sources. Yeah, this is not much good when you're driving along. Oh, says I need to change spark plugs. Engine oil. When we got to do that then? Engine oil is due in 17,000 miles. Well, fortunately, I just did it, and I do it every 10,000 miles at the most and a year at the most. And that's how to keep these cars going. So as long as you get one that's not falling apart for your £5 grand, then you've got quite a good chance of keeping it going for a long time, as long as you keep changing the oil at regular intervals. It's all covered on my N62 engine problems and how to avoid them video. I'll put the little doofer up there somewhere. So yeah, that's it. Another week over at work. Thank goodness for that. On the way home. And yeah, that's about it really on the 650i versus 116i Sport. What's worth more to you? For £5,750 you can get a 116i or you can get a 650, and I vote for the 650. Well, thanks very much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for all the comments, and keep the comments going. I'd love to hear from 116 owners and see what they think. Now, really not getting down on 116s, although I do tend to make fun of them a bit, but only because they try and overtake me from that roundabout at regular opportunities, and it irks them sometimes. But no, the 116i is a lovely car, and I was quite glad to, quite happy to sell it, because it was a good car in good condition. And yeah, so I'm really not getting down on the 116i's. They are a nice car, and at 5,750 quid, that was a nice car. Anyone could have bought that and get years and years of life out of it. Probably a few more years than my 650, but my 650 is a bit older. Daisy. Oh, what's he doing, I wonder? On the phone at all or something? Get off the phone!